Years ago, I sat in a meeting with a peer of mine in the financial industry. He stood up in front of a room of advisors and gave a little talk about why he did the work. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "The reason I work this hard is because I really, really like money." And then he started listing the things he had bought with it: the cars, the vacations, the house, the watches. I sat there and felt sick. Not because he was wrong about wanting nice things. Most of us in that room had nice things too. I felt sick because I could see myself in his answer. And the version of myself I was looking at didn't have a great ending. Today I want to talk about the difference between a job, a career, and a calling. 3 different things. Most of us spend years confusing them. And the people I've watched end up unhappy in their work, almost without exception, were people who get these 3 things mixed up. My name is Kyle Blackwell. I'm a certified financial planner, and I've spent almost 2 decades sitting with families working through their money, which means I've also spent almost 2 decades watching how people relate to their work, what they tell themselves about it, what they hope it will give them, and what happens when it doesn't deliver. This video is for the person trying to figure out what to do with their work life, a college student picking a major, a new grad starting their first real job, or somebody 5 or 10 years in who's quietly wondering if they're on the right track. I'm going to walk you through the pattern I keep seeing, the framework I think actually works, and the moment in my own career when I had to learn this the hard way. Let me tell you the pattern. In 2 decades of advising, I've sat across from a lot of people, high earners and low earners, doctors, teachers, business owners, accountants, nurses, salespeople, pastors, and the people who hated their work the most weren't the ones making the least money, not even close. Some of the most miserable people I've sat with were making 7 figures. Some of the most content were making 40,000. The variable wasn't income. The variable was whether their work was connected to something bigger than the paycheck. When the work is just a job, and the person is honest about that, these are the hours I trade for the money I need to live the rest of my life, that can actually be a healthy posture. The job pays the bills. That's the whole brief. Trouble starts when somebody confuses their job with their identity, or confuses their career with their purpose, or starts asking work to give them something work was never designed to give. That's the trap I watched my peer fall into. He'd built a career, a real one, with skills and money to show for it. But somewhere along the way, he'd hung his identity on the things the career produced. The thing has to keep producing forever, because if it stops, your identity stops too. I went home from that meeting feeling dirty. And I want to be honest, the reason I felt dirty wasn't because of him. It was because I'd been doing some version of the same thing. Let me give you the framework I've come to. 3 things, 3 different jobs. A job pays the bills. A career builds your skills. A calling is the why underneath both. Job and career are the visible part. Calling is the spine. You can have a job without a career. You can have a career without a calling. You can also have a calling without a perfect job and walk in it anyway. The mistake most people make is asking their job to be all 3 at once. That's why so many people get a new job, feel better for about 3 months, and then end up exactly where they started. The job didn't fail them. They were asking the job to do the work that only a calling can do. Buechner had a line about this that I keep coming back to. He said the place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. Read that one twice. Your deep gladness, what lights you up, what you're wired for, what you'd do even if no one was paying you. The world's deep hunger, the actual unmet need, real problems for real people. Where those 2 intersect, that's the calling. Calling isn't a job title. It isn't a career path. It's a posture you bring to whatever work you're doing. You can have a calling for years before the right job catches up to it. You can change jobs and careers many times and still walk the same calling the whole way. I want to tell you a bit about my own story here, because I had to learn this the hard way. I went into financial advising right out of school. I loved the work. I was good at it. I built a practice from scratch by knocking on doors in small South Carolina towns. And by my early 30s, my wife and I had reached a level of financial comfort I hadn't expected to hit so quickly. We had done the things you're supposed to do. We saved. We gave. We lived on less than we made. But what nobody tells you about hitting financial comfort is that the thing that motivated you up to that point doesn't motivate you anymore. The carrot you've been chasing isn't there. I kept showing up to work, but the fire was different. I wasn't excited about the next deal or the next milestone. And honestly, I was a little scared because the fire had been the engine. What now? I had a conversation with a seasoned advisor I respected. I told him where I was, and he said something that reframed everything. He said, when money stopped motivating me, the thing that recentered me was a deeper understanding of stewardship. You've been given a gift, a unique ability to help people manage their money well. Don't waste that. Steward it. Use it fully, not for your own comfort, but to serve other people in a way that honors God. That moment was the hinge for me. I started showing up for work differently, not chasing the next milestone, just trying to be present for whoever was in front of me. I started volunteering with a group that plays adaptive pickleball, people with special needs, mostly who I wouldn't have crossed paths with otherwise. That work didn't pay anything. It also became one of the most meaningful parts of my week. And as a strange byproduct, my actual work got better too. I became a better advisor when I stopped trying to grow the business and started trying to serve the people in front of me. The job didn't change. The career didn't change. The calling underneath them got clear, and everything else fell into place. You might be watching this thinking, that's nice for you, Kyle, but I have no idea what my calling is. Most people don't, and that's normal. A calling isn't usually a thunderbolt moment. It's something you uncover slowly by paying attention to a few things. I'd start with 4 questions. What makes you unique? What lights you up? What comes easy to you? When do you find yourself in the zone where time disappears and you're just moving with natural confidence? Those 4 questions point you toward your gladness, the strengths and tendencies God built into you. Then you turn outward. Where's the need? What's broken in your neighborhood, your church, your industry, your generation? The intersection of those 2 is where the calling is hiding. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it takes years. Either way, you don't figure it out by sitting on the couch waiting for it to show up. You figure it out by doing things, paying attention to how they make you feel, and following the thread. One thought exercise that helped me. Imagine yourself at 90 years old. Given where your life is going right now, what do you suspect you'll wish you had done differently when you finally get there? First time I really sat with that question, it hit harder than I expected. I wasn't worried I'd wish I'd made more money. I was worried I'd wish I'd used what I had for something that actually mattered. That question is a calling finder. If something keeps coming up when you ask it, pay attention to that. One more thing before we wrap. In the work of stewarding your gifts, your time, your career, it's not for applause. It's not for the boss. It's not for likes on social media. It's not even for approval of family or mentors. It's for an audience of one. Work like God is watching, because He is, not from a distance, up close. He sees every effort. Every moment you choose integrity over shortcuts. Every time you show up faithfully when no one else notices. Here's the freeing part. When you actually believe you're working for an audience of one, the pressure of impressing everyone else falls away. You can stop performing. You can stop comparing. You can stop worrying about whether your job sounds impressive at the wedding. That guy I told you about at the beginning, the one who said he worked because he really, really liked money, I don't know what happened to him. I hope he found a way out of that. But I know what I needed to find a way out of. And the door I walked through was stewardship. A different audience, a different school board, a different reason to show up for work in the morning. The work didn't change. The audience did. So if I can leave you with one thing, a job pays the bills. A career builds your skills. A calling is the why underneath both. Don't ask your job to be your calling. It can't carry that weight. But also don't ignore the calling because you've got a job. The calling is the thing that makes the job worth doing. I wrote a book called Purpose in Every Paycheck that goes deeper into all of this. How to figure out what you're actually called to do. How money and work fit together as part of the same conversation. And how to build a life where the paycheck serves the purpose, not the other way around. Links in the description. Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next one.